Prayer, the practice of divine love. Welcome to this sixth video in our series on St. Francis de Sales' Treatise on the Love of God. Today, we will be diving into Book 6, which focuses on the practices of holy love in prayer. Prayer, as St. Francis de Sales presents it, is not just about asking for things or reciting words, but it's a deep and loving conversation with God. Through prayer, we move closer to God, learning to love Him more intimately, not just with words, but with our hearts. In this book, St. Francis de Sales takes us on a journey through different forms of prayer, especially meditation and contemplation, showing how each practice draws us deeper into the experience of divine love. Let's explore the key themes in Book 6 and how they can help us develop a stronger, more intimate prayer life. Prayer and mystical theology. St. Francis de Sales begins by describing prayer as the first practice of affective love. Affective love is the love that arises in our hearts when we focus on God's goodness and feel joy in His presence. Through prayer, our souls unite with God's Spirit. But prayer is more than just speaking to God. It's also a form of mystical theology, where we communicate with God in a deeply personal and secret way. St. Francis de Sales explains that prayer is the heart-to-heart conversation between the soul and God. It's not just about asking for things, but about entering into communion with God's love. St. Francis points out that God understands the deep movements of our hearts better than we do. Sometimes we can't even fully express what we are feeling, but God sees and knows every twist and turn of our emotions. Through prayer, we open ourselves to God's love, and He pours His love into us. Mystical theology and prayer, in this sense, are about receiving God's love and responding to it in the quiet depths of our hearts. Meditation, the first step in prayer. The first step in prayer, according to St. Francis de Sales, is meditation. Meditation is when we focus our thoughts on God's goodness or on a specific mystery of faith to stir up love for God. Unlike regular thoughts that can wander aimlessly, meditation has a clear goal to awaken love for God. St. Francis emphasizes that meditation isn't just intellectual thinking. It's about deeply contemplating God's love and goodness to draw closer to Him. He uses the example of a bee collecting nectar to describe how our souls should engage in meditation. Just as a bee flies from flower to flower, gathering nectar to make honey, so our souls go from one divine mystery to another, gathering love for God. Meditation allows us to savor the sweetness of God's goodness and to be nourished spiritually by reflecting on His grace. The more we meditate, the more our love for God grows. Contemplation, a loving gaze on God. St. Francis de Sales moves on to describe contemplation, which follows meditation. While meditation involves actively thinking about God's goodness, contemplation is more like a simple, loving gaze on God. It's when our hearts are so filled with love for God that we no longer need to reflect in detail but can simply rest in His presence. Contemplation is a deeper form of prayer where we don't have to work so hard to think. We simply enjoy God's love. He explains this beautifully with an analogy. Meditation is like smelling flowers one by one, while contemplation is like inhaling the fragrance of all the flowers combined in a single perfume. In contemplation, we experience the fullness of God's love in a unified way, and this brings peace and joy to the soul. This is why contemplation is often described as the fruit of meditation. It's where love rests in the goodness of God without the need for words or detailed reflection. The role of love in prayer. A key theme in Book 6 is that love drives both meditation and contemplation. In meditation, we reflect on God's goodness to awaken love for Him. In contemplation, love moves us beyond thought into a deeper union with God. St. Francis de Sales emphasizes that love is greater than knowledge in prayer. While knowledge helps us understand God, love allows us to experience Him directly. In this way, love often surpasses what we can know with our minds. He gives the example of a simple, uneducated person who can love God more deeply than a learned theologian because love doesn't depend on understanding. Faith gives us enough knowledge to spark our love for God. But once that love is ignited, it grows beyond what we can know intellectually. Love is what carries us into deeper prayer and union with God. Recollection, being drawn to God. St. Francis de Sales also describes the experience of recollection, which is when God gently draws the soul into His presence without effort on our part. This form of prayer is different from the active recollection, where we intentionally bring ourselves into God's presence. In loving recollection, God takes the initiative. He speaks to the soul in a secret and quiet way, and the soul is drawn to Him as naturally as bees are attracted to the scent of honey. When this happens, the soul gathers all its faculties around God, much like how we instinctively turn toward someone we love when they are near. St. Francis beautifully describes how the soul, upon feeling God's presence, turns inward and focuses completely on God, leaving behind all distractions. This sweet attraction is God's way of drawing the soul into deeper communion with Him. The stillness of the soul in God. As the soul enters into deeper prayer, it experiences a profound stillness. St. Francis de Sales calls this the prayer of quiet. In this state, the soul rests peacefully in God's love, not needing to say or do anything. It's a gentle, peaceful awareness of God's presence, much like the stillness of a calm river. This stillness is a sign that the soul has found what it was searching for, God Himself. In this state of prayer, the soul experiences joy not from thinking or speaking, but from simply being with God. It's a kind of spiritual rest where the soul is content just to be in God's presence, St. Francis de Sales compares this to Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, quietly listening to his words. This peaceful stillness is a gift of grace, and the soul desires nothing more than to remain in God's presence. Conclusion. In Book 6 of the Treatise on the Love of God, St. Francis de Sales teaches us how to move deeper into prayer through meditation, contemplation, and recollection. He shows us that prayer is not just about speaking to God, but about loving Him and allowing ourselves to be loved by Him. As we grow in prayer, we move from active reflection to a simple, loving gaze on God, where we rest in His presence. For the religious, this book offers a roadmap to developing a deeper prayer life. Through meditation, we can begin to stir our hearts with love for God. Through contemplation, we can rest in His love, and in recollection, we allow God to draw us into deeper communion. Prayer, as St. Francis de Sales shows us, is the key to experiencing the fullness of God's love. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have gained insight into the beauty of prayer as described by St. Francis de Sales. God bless you. Live Jesus.
In the stillness of my heart, I seek your face. In love's sweet call, I find my resting place. A prayer that rises like a gentle dove. In holy quiet, I meet your endless love. Effective love draws me close to you. Effective love gives me strength to follow through. In every prayer, in every gentle sigh, my heart is lifted to the Lord Most High. In the quiet of your love, I rest in thee. In the depths of prayer, I find I'm free. Through meditation, I seek your face. In contemplation, I'm held by grace. In every moment I draw near, your holy presence is always here. Like a bee that gathers nectar from each flower, my soul finds sweetness in each sacred hour. I meditate on all that you have done, and in your love I see the Holy One. Your goodness fills my soul with joy and peace. In contemplation all my striving cease. With a simple gaze I rest in your embrace. In silent love I see your holy face. In the quiet of your love I rest in thee. In the depths of prayer I find I'm free. Through meditation I seek your face. In contemplation I'm held by grace. In every moment I draw near, your holy presence is always here. Oh, how my heart is drawn to your delight. In prayer I rest and find the guiding light. In recollection I come to know the depth of love you always show. In stillness, Lord, my soul is free as I abide in thee. In loving silence I hear your gentle call. My soul flows out to you, giving all. No longer striving but resting in your care. In your sweet presence I find my prayer. Like Mary seated at your feet so still, in quiet trust I surrender to your will. Oh Lord, I'm yours, my soul is one with thee. In your great love I find eternity. In the quiet of your love I rest in thee. In the depths of prayer I find I'm free. Through meditation I seek your face. In contemplation I'm held by grace. In every moment I draw near. Your holy presence is always here.